The time of your life where you're most imprinted and terrified is when you're like 6, 7, and you're watching a horror movie. And it's a feeling that you won't have again. It's an eternal quest for getting that feeling. I think that's what the journey is of a filmmaker that loves making scary movies.
The story is really about friendship. Pennywise is the horror part of it, but the story is about people bonding together, which I feel like everyone can relate to.
Now, after 4 months, we're all like brothers now, and sister. We knew so much about each other, and we were best friends already. I've never been so close to a kid my age.
This is gonna be one of the greatest, most unforgettable life experiences I've ever had and will ever have. So I'm definitely gonna walk away from this movie enjoying it and being proud of what I did and what we've all done as a team.
Oh my gosh, this summer has been the summer of my life. I'm never ever going to forget this.
Going into it was a little bit like going back into my memories and my emotional memories and bring them back and putting them on a screen. And it is actually a love letter to childhood. It talks about all the treasures that lie in childhood, the power of imagination and belief that you inevitably lose when you grow up. And Stephen King really made an impact when I was growing up. So for me was how much of an influence Stephen King was in the way I understand stories and I tell stories.
I was born and raised in Buenos Aires, and in the summer, our parents wouldn't allow us to watch TV, but we could read anything we wanted. And we discovered Stephen King, I think, when I was around 12.
And being a reader of Stephen King since like young age, it helps you grow up with a bit of sense of humor against adversity, with sarcasm and a sense of irony that is important when you want to be an artist.
I got to read it when I was 15. It blew my mind because it was the first time that I was reading characters that were so close to my age, that were in real perilous situations. They were fighting bigotry, anti-Semitism, and sexism. I couldn't believe what I was reading because it made me feel so powerful. You know, as a 15-year-old, if these kids could do this, we all can. And it never left me.
Barbara is my sister, and working with your family is really a privilege. I'm a director, she's a producer. And sometimes they're like, two ends of the same team that sometimes they clash in the middle because there's always the creative part versus the financial part. At the end of the day, it's always a relief knowing that she has my back and I have hers. We trust each other. We're always in the same team, and all we want is make a great movie. When the previous version of this production stopped, and we came in, we all agreed that we would make the movie. We sort of started from scratch, and it took us around a year to go into production again. That's the fastest we could think of doing it.
No, and it was miraculously fast, and also it fit perfectly because we needed summer hours with the kids.
I'm Finn and I play Richie.
Hi, I'm Wyatt and I play Stanley.
I'm Jeremy and I play Ben.
We're at
I don't play anybody, I'm just
Homeless
the
man.
Wanderer.
just a wanderer. I'm an onlooker of the set. The cast in this movie seems to easily relate to their characters, and they don't just portray their characters perfectly, they bring a new light to their characters.
What are you listening to? Wow. New Kids on the Block.
I don't even like them. I was just...
Wait, you're the new kid, right? Now I get it.
King made it so easy for us to cast them because we knew exactly what we were looking for. It was instant, and the guys would come in the room, and sometimes they wouldn't even come for that particular role. But they started talking, and you could see, okay, this is Stanley, obviously. This is Richie, clearly. So it was very, very easy.
You know what these are? They're placebos. They're bullshit!
No, sweetie, they help you. They help me. When you were born, you were so small and so delicate and fragile. I had to protect you.
How could any of this protect me? Those people that you made me turn my back on, those are my friends. You made me turn my back on them when I really needed them. And now they really need me, so I'm going.
I'm so lucky and happy to have found these actors. In some cases, it was more noticeable and they were closer to the characters than in others. But if you see the case of Finn playing Richie, there's so much similarities between those two characters.
Let's face facts. Real world. Georgie's dead. Stop trying to get us killed like you got him killed.
I didn't get my brother killed.
Out of the way, Bill. You couldn't save him, but you can still save yourself.
And Jaden, there's that introspective, shy nature, also that mastermind, and the calm, quiet judgment.
Let's go.
Go? Go where?
Niable. That's where Georgie is.
After that?
We have to go. I first auditioned as Eddie, and then he saw me, and I had grown and from Midnight Special, I'm guessing, because that's the last movie that I did, and I was pretty small. And then he saw me and I was bigger, and I guess he saw more Bill and my personality. That thing took my brother. I'm going.
We did individual work, of course, and then we started working with them in groups. And by the time we hit this combination, it was so clear that these were the guys. I never thought we'd get that chemistry in a group. They were meeting each other for the first time. And these are, kids in their awkward age, or 12, 13, and they're all fantastic. I mean, we saw it in the table reading. They are amazing.
No, I know. Let me hold it. It's amazing. Dude! Are we supposed to see a turtle in this movie? In this game? Dude, there's a turtle scene in this movie.
It's a sign!
Annie, did we decide, sorry, just to belabor this a little bit, but we decide that Pennywise wasn't going to come out of the water, that he was just going to travel towards them and then, or was he going to travel towards them and you want him to float right out of the water?
I don't want him to float anymore. He's just he's going to be prompted out of the water.
Right.
And he's going to pretend to be marching out of it.
Right.
We knew when we were looking for Pennywise that whoever we chose was gonna very much guide what kind of film we would be doing. We saw about 160-something auditions, and there were performances covering the whole gamma of what Pennywise could have been. What we found with Bill was that his instincts were so perfect and so aligned with the way Andy saw Pennywise.
Is this your boat? It's a nice boat. Floats.
Even just to audition for this part was fun for me, because it was just like, do your interpretation of what you think the clown would be.
Well, I'm Bob Gray. Pennywise to my friends. What do they call you?
Georgie.
Georgie. Now we aren't strangers, are we?
There was a strange balance that he brought, a strange energy, because he's very childlike. He has these big eyes, sort of childish, cute face, but he brings a darkness that is very, very unsettling. He can play this ambiguity, this dichotomy very well. It comes very easy to him. He understands it.
I did a screen test in Toronto with a very basic clown makeup. I mean, it wasn't even prosthetics or anything. They just, kind of a bald cap and I looked like Krusty the Clown.
Feast for Pennywise, ripe fear, raw fright, belly full of blood-webbing dread.
It was hard for me to figure out what the character looked or moved like or anything, because such a big part of it is the makeup and the costume. And I didn't know what that would be or how it would look or how it would feel to have on you. So going into it, I kind of really broke down the character kind of intellectually, like what I think this entity is, but I couldn't really physically become him until I got all the makeup and the costume on. So that was a very important piece for me to kind of, the first time I got to see the makeup on, to see how my face moved and what certain things looked like, and then the same thing with the costume.
Amazing. Costume transformation!
So today, Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise, is getting dressed in his complete costume, hair and makeup, and we're going to have a camera test with him, and then it's going to be sent off to the studio.
How great does he look? Oh my goodness.
When you start designing a character with these characteristics, you have your ideal in your head and the design of it, and the sketch is the blueprint of what that creature is, and then comes the actor.
Bonsoir.
Hello.
You doing, man? Good. Good.
It's interesting how the work of bringing these two ideas together, the concept and the reality.
And action.
The camera test was basically that ring of fire moment where I saw for the first time if my concept matched the application of that criteria on the actor. Mainly it was so fun because one part of me was finally at ease with that uncertainty of what the pieces would look like together. And it was very successful.
And cut. God, that's awesome.
Good. Cut.
Derry is based on a city called Bangor in Maine, of course. It was the hometown of Stephen King. I'd never been to Bangor before, so I made a trip to Bangor. I was there for a few days and I wanted to see every corner of it. And it was a great experience because, you know, basically every event covered in the book has its place in Bangor.
Here's the group. Location anchors. This is great right here.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
It was prohibitive to shoot in Maine. That was my first idea. And we found this amazing town called Port Hope. Immediately, I found like some similarities to Bangor. I found other things that were not like Bangor at all, but they were quite intriguing in a cinematic way. And then after a while, I embraced the idea that we are recreating Derry. The way it's geographically distributed, it gives us the chance to like, really build a town.
That framing with the houses works very well.
This was a very hard location to find because the house at the end of the Neville Street is precisely a house at the end of the street. It had a few specifications that are very hard to find in a location. Because we built this whole thing on an empty land, we needed sort of a corner of a street at the end of a lonely street with not too many houses, with an empty lot across of it. So we find the perfect spot. In fact, I was inspired by the Neville house of the book. So basically this is pretty much a faithful interpretation of what my understanding of Neville was. I think the original has a bit of a red paint, but I didn't want it red, so it's just wood color. But it's built in the Victorian style. It has a bit of a face. It has a smile because it's all crooked. The awning, you see how crooked it is, and I wanted that to be a bit of a mirror of Pennywise's smile. If you see the railings, they're all like broken down, and they sort of mimic teeth, up and down. So this whole thing looks like a big maw that is waiting for you to get in and eat you.
The first days of it, more than the beginning of the shoot itself, I remember the beginning of the rehearsals. We brought the kids to Canada about 3 weeks before we started shooting, very much by design, because we wanted them to become best friends. That was incredibly important for us. And also, we wanted them to leave their 2016 selves and be kids of '89. That meant no cell phones and learning how to ride bicycles.
Oh, you makes me want to laugh. It makes me want to laugh.
As we got into the bonding, we realized that a couple of the kids did not necessarily know how to ride a bike.
Not in this generation, yeah.
Now we're putting them in groups so they get used to riding with each other and not hit each other. That's the aim. Not hit each other and not hit the mums and dad.
The first conversations we had were mainly about the teamwork with the Losers Club, the ensemble that they are. Like everything we do, it revolves around each other, and it's the friendships.
By the end of 3 days, these kids couldn't live without each other. They were together every single day, even the days off. They were like kids from the 80s, basically, again. And I just love that because it reminded me so much of our childhood and the age that I was when I read the book.
Because we are losers. Yeah, we are losers. Now we're winners.
It's so much fun, right? It's so much fun.
The only challenge I can think of is like the time restrictions, because you can only work so many hours with kids that age.
It's a very demanding film for the children. They are doing things that they've never done. A lot of emotional acting, but also very technical.
These are your worst enemies. These guys can eat you alive, all right? So it's a very important moment because it's like the first time that you really defy these kids, okay?
Something I didn't want, or Annie didn't want, was that the losers have become really good friends with the bullies. So we're like, no, no, no. And they're rapping together and they're having the best time. You can't help that.
I try to be friends. I don't have
We're friends on the low. On the low. We can't be friends in public. We all know it's different when we're in the scene and when we're out of the scene, because it's funny, like, they'll beat you up or something like that, and then after the scene, they'll be like, are you okay, are you okay?
Shut the fuck up!
They're nice guys, but when we're in the scene, it's quite scary, We forget all about our friendship and just get the movie done. It gets a lot easier when you have good actors with you to act actually scared, because you are.
Yeah, it's really weird going to totally friends and then 1 second Nick's beating me up and 1 second he's hugging me.
Oh yeah, come here, Nick.
I spoke to Andy before the takes when we were into close-up, where Jeremy really needed to ramp up his performance.
Scream, help.
Help!
In the rehearsals and throughout the process, I use a lot of phrases that help the kids if they repeat them a number of times to get into a moment. So I think that day I said to Jeremy, just scream, get off me.
And action!
Right before the take, I screamed as loud as I could, and then just tears started running down my face, and after the take, I was like, wow, I don't even know what just came out, because Benjamin Perkins, our acting coach, told me to do that, and it worked amazingly.
I spent quite a lot of time talking to the bullies about how far they could go with Jeremy. Nick's so intense in his performance, but he's also very concerned about how that might affect the other actors.
We were doing a scene with Jeremy Taylor at the kissing bridge, and we were terrorising the hell out of him, getting in his face, screaming at him.
Henry, please!
After every take, I always make sure to ask if he's okay. Most of the time it was just he gave me a big hug. But if the kids were any less sort of all right with what we're doing to them, which is insane that they are, you wouldn't feel as comfortable around them, and they wouldn't feel as comfortable around you. We try and hang out as much as possible, It's not just us over and having dinner at the next table and the losers over there, we're intermingled, having fun.
And our kids are 12. Most of them are 12, and a couple of them are 13. It's the last days of their childhood. And you can see them that they're still kids. When you get them to play and rejoice in that childhood, it's wonderful.
Hey, are you guys friends now?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, best friends.
We're very good friends.
That was weird.
Yeah. That was weird, yeah.
Well, if I wasn't his friend, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. But somehow I am.
Comfortable with this?
Stop!
Get in there, get in the shot.
When you're making a movie, you have to deal with all sort of limitations and boundaries. And of course, like financial ones are the most prominent ones. It has an enhanced meaning when you're like adapting a massive work like it. 1,200 pages. It's so rich in characters and details and scope. And you're making it into a 2-hour movie. And you don't have like $200 million to make. So it's a challenge.
No, I can record it so in posterity, if it ever happens, it will be recorded. That we would like for Chastain to play Beverly as the adult.
But don't use that anywhere.
Watch it. This is something you can pull when we get it.
Sophia probably is the one with the least experience in movies, but so talented and so naturally gifted, very instinctive too.
This is totally new to me. I've never had
Me too.
this big moment, something this big. I actually didn't know if it was big or not when I first got it. So it's just like all new to me, like how like there's this studios and then there's interviews, and I did not expect this.
Incredibly, to be the only girl amongst a group of 6 boys, she holds her own fantastically. But she has 2 brothers, so she's quite used to being quite rambunctious.
It's like we don't even acknowledge that she's a woman. If that's a bad thing, then please tell me.
You tell me, Sophia, is that a bad thing?
I mean, she's just so like, she doesn't even bring up, she's like, oh, I'm with a bunch of boys. She doesn't even bring it up. It's just so like natural and cool, and we're best friends. It's so cool.
The bathroom scene had to be like very intense, you know? It's like you can't like hold back, you know, in a scene like that. There's an added element that I think will make the scene even more tense, which is the element of the hair. Beverly's hair is basically a reflection of her acting against the abuse. Her hair is something that her father is fixated on, and it sort of represents the abuse in the film.
Everything that she sees just traumatizes her, anything relating to her father. She's also scared of blood, because when she starts to look down in the sink, she sees hair and blood.
The way that it has to terrorize her is basically attacking her with her own hair. There could be a more terrifying incarnation than that, because it's not about a creature that attacks you, but it attacks you with your worst fear. And that's when the blood comes out. So it's a bit of a variation from the original event, but it's pretty intense.
Hi, Georgie. Want your boat back?
It was a hard R from the get-go. There's not a way around it, really. If you're gonna make a story about a monster that eats children, you can't go just soft on a story with that idea. It's also about making justice to Stephen King and his style and the way he writes. You know, he doesn't hold anything back.
Have you guys seen Pennywise yet?
Nope.
Nah.
No.
We're not allowed to see him.
Oh, I think he's bad.
I'm gonna call he has blue hair.
I'm gonna say he's.
I already think I know.
I heard something. I heard one thing. That he has
a
one green eye and one orange eye.
He's supposed to look like a mime. Something like a mime.
That's the only thing
I
I've
heard
heard
from Andy. We're rehearsing back.
I've been trying to keep Pennywise afar from the losers. I don't want them to see him. I'm expecting that to have some shock to them.
They've been very secretive. Andy's been very secretive of it. I saw a picture. I don't know if it was. I've seen character models, but I was shooting and I saw something on Barbara's computer that I probably shouldn't have seen. I don't know if it was him, but it might have been a character model. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's been about 2 months. Still haven't seen Pennywise. Today will be the first day.
They're gonna put him in the place that we're about to film, and then when we go in there, they're gonna have our first reaction.
I never get scared.
Are you scared?
He's freaking me out. So
I'm actually
it's working for me.
With how scary this house is and how scary he is, man, it's not gonna be any acting. It's really gonna be scary.
Roll sound, please. And action.
Anyone else feel a chill?
The first scene I shot was with Jack, who plays Eddie, And it's me coming out of the fridge, and I think it's probably one of the, if not the most intense scene in the film in terms of Pennywise and another actor, because I'm so in his face.
He's so crazy, so carefree that it makes it even scarier because he doesn't have to try to sound scary. He's just scary because like it's like he doesn't even care. Like he's having fun while killing people and haunting people. So it's just like he's like a maniac, you know?
This isn't real enough for you, Billy. It's real enough for Georgie.
Oh my God.
The scene in the kitchen is the first encounter between Pennywise and the losers. And you can see it. You can see the reaction of them. And you see Sophia like retreating into the wall, and she's so credible. And I'm not sure to this day if she was acting or not. He was very intimidating, with the eyes like completely like looking to different directions, and with that thing that he does. It's real drool, it's real slobber.
The teeth made him slobber like crazy.
It's real spitting, and you see the spit going from Bill's mouth right into Jack Grazer's face.
And cut.
So gross. It's not gonna be from his mouth. Okay, want to hear something disgusting?
Yeah.
So remember when he was like in my face trying to bite me? He drooled and he got it on my lips. And then after the take, I thought it was my own drool, so I went like this. Hey guys.
Was it delicious?
It was terrible. And then after that, I like, oh my God, that was just drool. It was terrible. I actually gagged like for real. That's amazing.
Of course, after that first sequence, the effect starts to diminish, but at least you catch it for that moment.
Hey guys, are you ready to beat the shit out of me? I can't hear you.
Okay, amusez-vous bien.
Hi, I'm standing next to my dead self. Can I show this to Pennywise? I'll show him that he eats my flesh.
I remember when Georgie, little Jackson, wanted to see Pennywise, and he saw him from afar, and he told his mom, I want to go see Pennywise. And his mom and the tutor said, no, you can't. You have to wait until we go shoot. And he started crying because he was frustrated. He wanted, he had been waiting for this day for months.
Hi there. It's just a new look for me today. Hey, how's it going? How are you? Are we gonna have some fun?
Yes, we are.
Are you gonna get wet?
Yes, I am.
Am I gonna get wet?
Yes, you are. I think you're gonna get soaked wet.
All right, little man.
He's not looking at you. He's fine.
I am fine.
But then, of course, they ended up spending a full day in a flooded basement.
Perfect. You want me to kind of come up to here, maybe?
Yeah.
Like as an end mark?
First, just the eyes, and if you keep your chin down, it's much more threatening. He's incredibly talented. The control of like every muscle in his face is like just amazing. It's very impressive. He like did things physically in this movie that he never did before or never tried before. I think it was a very, very exhausting work.
You'll float too.
Robin.
You'll float too. 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 You'll float too.
That was very good.
You can't really relate to Pennywise. You can't relate to him in any way because Bill's definitely not a child-killing clown. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he is.
Come join the clown, Eds. We all float down here.
I don't need to base this out of something human, really. There's definitely human aspects of it, because like everything is. So like psychopathy or like evil or sinister or has, you know, lust and hunger and like all these feelings are directly human or animalistic at least. And those are things that you could pinpoint and relate to, or for me to relate to, and then create a character through it.
That's great. Let's see the one before.
Yeah.
It's like
And,
resting on his head, like the angle is
Anthony, play the one before that, please.
I had a conversation in his trailer where we had this like you know, very serious conversation about the changing the lines and the dialogue, and suddenly I realized that I'm talking to a clown, and he doesn't know it.
No.
Because he's not seeing himself, and I'm talking to a clown that is like all like smeared with children's blood, and he's like talking like very serious to me about like saying like this line and not the other. I took a picture of the event, so I will show it. We will put it and we will cut it in as I'm saying this. We will cut it in. You see it, and I really have to give it to Bill, because he did an amazing job, and his energy was at full all the time.
A feast for my eyes. Right fear, raw fright, a belly full of blood, dripping dread. Can you smell tasty Georgie on my breath?
The last scene of the film, when they fight Pennywise, that's required a lot of work for them.
As you can see, we do intense fighting. We train for our final battle with Pennywise every day.
The power of belief is what allows them to fight Pennywise, and the power of belief that they create as a group. And you can see it when they're performing, and they feed from each other, which is fantastic to see. And that's actually what happens in the film.
I think we do it too much, but we like to joke around on set, because things are getting really emotional now. We're about to leave, and also the scenes are just so tough. We're fighting Pennywise, so we're having fun as much as we can.
Hey, Wyatt.
Hey, Wyatt here.
What happened, Wyatt?
I went to prosthetics, and then things happened.
There's this scene that was shot in the last few days of principal photography at the sewers, where Stan is attacked by Judith, one of the incarnations of it. When the monster releases him and the kids go to aid him, he's out of his mind and crying and like blaming them for letting him come into this horrible place.
I think being so close has helped our acting out a lot. For example, with the Wyatt scene, when we're saving Stanley, everybody felt like that was Wyatt, and I felt like I really hurt Wyatt and I hurt all my friends, and it just helped us a lot getting that emotion out.
That day, we kind of like talked before the scene that we need a few minutes to really get into character, because it was definitely an emotional scene, and it's hard to just, when they say action, get into character.
And for a while there's no screaming, and suddenly...
I did the scene 3 days in a row, so that means I cried my eyes out 3 days in a row. But at first, like, I didn't want to do it again, but then I was like, you know what, it's gonna look good, and I think it's gonna pay off. I've been in that place before. I've shut myself off from the world and just cried, but I think that was the first time they opened that door, and it's definitely hard. But I think a good hug will resolve everything.
It was definitely a very weird and out-of-body experience, because I started crying out of nowhere, and everyone just got really quiet. They're like, roll. And they rolled it, and it was crazy, yeah.
I literally was tearing. We were all like crying, and it was like such a great thing, because like the friendships are so strong in this film, and in reality as well. It's so like amazing, and I just found that, and it's and after we did the take, we were all just like bawling our eyes out. It was insane.
And that was really, really, really a triggering of the moment that they were living, because they knew that the shoot was about to finish. I think it was such a beautiful experience for them. It was like the perfect summer. Their bonding was so real. It was the perfect trigger for them to like let go, and suddenly everybody was crying. They were like really bringing out the real emotions, and it was very touching.
A month ago, I remember being really sad that it was coming to an end. But I think we're all ready to go back to our normal lives. It couldn't have gone any other way. And I think we defined the Losers Club, I guess you could say. I think this is probably the best summer of my life.
The bond was real. And whatever happens from now on with their lives, that was a very, very, very special summer for them. And it's curious how much of a similarity it has to the story. I mean, the story, it ends up with the losers not seeing each other again as a group, which is a sad note. I don't think it will happen with these kids. They just bonded fantastically.
We just made a movie, guys.
Can we do it again?
Yes. Part 18, 8 years later.
27 years later.
27 years later.
It really feels like that first movie with the adults. Like, it feels like they have a very similar chemistry, as good with them as it was with the kids. And I think this is just more of that good stuff, you know?
We were all 13-year-old kids learning how to act and be a part of a team. It was an amazing learning experience. It's one of those things where when they're back together, it's like no time has passed. That's kind of when you know who your real friends are.
That's what's beautiful about this story that Stephen King has written between children and adults, is that you are the same. You can do things with your life, you can seem like you've evolved as a person, but really we're all still like the kids.
The power of unified belief, it's a group faith. It's faith in what you guys believed in as children. You can do it, you can accomplish those things.
And I find that really beautiful because the first film and the second film absolutely connect. The first one being learning how to be an adult, and the second film, the adults learning how to be children again.
We've been eating and breathing and sleeping through this book for 4 years, making these two glorious movies that have changed our lives.
I knew from the first couple of scenes where Georgie is running down the street and chasing his boat, that it was going to be good, that it had been made by somebody who understood the material and was going to be really working hard to make a scary picture, and that he was going to keep hold of the human element.
In my mind, this was always like the first half of the story, and not from a commercial perspective. I always imagined that there would be a second part.
Please don't go, girl.
Realistically, it's 1,230 pages, something like that. And chapter 1 covers maybe 300 pages. So we had a lot to cover, and we knew that.
There is some certainties about the things that you plan in your mind that happen at the end from what you see and from what you perceive from the audiences. So obviously it's a big deal of confidence to see that your vision succeeded. It also gives you a lot of confidence for the bets that you're making on the second one.
One of the things that Andy understands as a filmmaker is that you have to care about the people in the story. With it, he put the kids first, and in the second movie, we see a wider perspective because we see an adult perspective. And as a result, you have an old-fashioned movie experience where you root for the good guys.
It felt like everybody wanted to be part of chapter 2. So it was kind of easy, the process of, getting the people that I wanted for the cast, because it felt like, this was characters that are worth playing.
Even as we were casting the kids, we were thinking of who to cast as the adults.
I love these characters so much, and I know that people love these characters so much. I want to be respectful to that and have the most amount of screen time for each of the characters. The characters are the same, but now they have like 2 versions.
There were 2 conditions. One was that they had to be great actors, of course, and the second one was that they really had to look like the kids.
We're all always hypothesizing on who would be the older selves. We'd pitch ideas to each other. And from the beginning, I was always Bill Hader.
That asshole Finn decided to throw my name in the mix.
It was almost like real life and the character of like, oh man, I want to be like that guy, like when I'm older.
So I had this meeting with Andy, and I sit down with him, and he's, do you know why you're here? You're here because Finn. Okay, there's an actor named Finn. He's in Stranger Things, and I know, yes. So Finn said that you should be Richie, and so I'm gonna have you be Richie. Okay, cool.
This is good.
I'm liking the upper half of this.
Let's get a medium. Right here. Right on my TV screen.
I saw Sophia Lillis walk into the room back in early 2016, and I looked at her and I said, oh, look, it's young Jess.
Andy was sending me pictures of Soph and me together, and he goes like, what do you think, in terms of the resemblance? And they had a beautiful screening for me on the lot, and I showed up and thinking it was just gonna be me, and Andy and Barbara were there, and Barbara handed me a glass of red wine, and they had popcorn, and I sat down, and then Andy was on this side, and Barbara, I was right there. And so I felt some pressure because they're dear friends of mine. I was like, oh, I really hope I like it. I hope I like it. But I knew how talented they were, so I knew I was gonna like it at the same time. And within the first 10 minutes of the film, I jumped and red wine went everywhere in the fancy screening room, and realized, that it was going to be an excellent horror film. And it was. And I love all those kids.
Let's put it like this. Jack Dylan Grazer is a young James Renzone. It's crazy because it's not only physical, it's the way they talk and the speed at which they think and talk, which is just non-human. And the joke was that the day that they would meet, they would combust.
All the stuff that has to do with Eddie Kaspbrak in the book and my impression of it, all I had to do was just do the best Jack Dylan Grazer impression that I could, and that was it.
And when I first met him, we had a moment where I was like, hi, nice to meet you. And then we both got nervous, awkward at the exact same time. It was really funny. It was really funny.
The casting process for me, it's probably the hardest one I've ever been through.
We put him through the ringer, this poor man. At that point, we had auditioned him 8 times, I think. We need you to read one more thing, and the casting director calls me and says, listen, he can't really do it today because he's on his way to the airport to get on a flight to get married.
And I was sitting there at the kitchen table, and I got a text, and my manager, she's like, can you go in one more time? And it was the next day, and I was like, wow, when? And she said, today. And I well, I'm flying out to my wedding, in like a couple hours. So I went back upstairs, told my time fiance, I was like, hey, listen, here's the deal. They want to see me one more time today. Do you mind? And she's like, you know what, just meet me in Austin. Take care of your business, break a leg, and I'll meet you there. And I was like, perfect.
2 minutes later, I get a call from the casting director saying he's changed his flight.
I mean, I didn't think I could do any more than I did the first day.
This won't work without all of us. And they'll listen to you. They all listen to you.
So I did my best, and I thought, I don't know if I even reached what I reached the day before, but apparently I did.
And we gave it to him that day.
Actually, before I got on the flight, that same day that I auditioned, they called me and they told me that you got it. So I was like, whew.
Yeah, nice. You got pretty lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys did an amazing job, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, especially with your role. No, it was a really, when I saw you, man, it was like, oh man, this is fucking good.
I remember us shooting the first film. We were trying, of course, and we were really working hard, but doing us justice, we were just there. We were the ones who were hoping we did well. But now everyone else, the adult versions are coming to us and saying, we hope we do well for you. But you don't have to do that.
So every single kid from the chapter 1 wrote a letter as their character to our older selves. So we just kind of gave them some insight about our friends and how we were feeling during those times and who were the closest and all that kind of thing. And I think that'll help. I think it'll be really, really cool.
I loved getting it so much. It really connected me very quickly to what she was feeling and what she was experiencing when playing the character. And also, when they played these parts, it was before the film came out and before it became this phenomenon. And there was this sense of easiness and lightness and purity. And I got all of that from her letter.
It was really fun to write. I definitely wrote a lot about Beverly and Bill, because Ben does not hate Bill. Ben is not particularly mad about Bill. What Ben really, really wants is for Beverly to know that he loves her and he would do anything for her, even if she doesn't love him back.
It was kind of sad too, because he wrote it, you know, as in, I hope by the time I'm this age, I've broken through these fears and I am this kind of person. And it was kind of all things that I was kind of looking at and experimenting with. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see that I was on the right page anyway, as the character growing up.
Jaden was the thing that I really responded to in the first film, and so to get to come and try and do something with the same character, to try and be the next custodian of Bill Denborough, it was really to try and get to the heart of his guilt issues.
I told him about all of the things that I hate about Derry and why I wouldn't go back, but then I talked about all the things that I loved about it and why it's worth fighting for. And I talked a lot about his guilt about everything, about Georgie's death and for leading everyone. I was kind of talking about the fears that he should have, but kind of reassuring him that everything's gonna be all right.
You know, they had this thing where they wanted us all to sit at tables and talk with them and stuff, and they were kind of like, oh, you know, I'm the seasoned pro, I'll sit and chat. And by the end of it, I was like, I wanted them to like me so bad. I'm like, why? Oh, I don't think Wyatt likes me.
I was in LA for different reasons, months before we started shooting. I'd been away from him for, you know, a year and a half. Almost 2 years. And then Andy wanted me to do a test for a VFX motion capture. And I thought it was just like basically me sitting in a chair, like doing this. But he's like, here's a scene for tomorrow that I want you to do. And I was like, oh, weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I've been away from the character for so long, and like, it's gonna be strange just like to go right back into it and do the scene. And I got the scene like the night before. You're sitting in a chair and there's a bunch of cameras on you to do the motion capture. And, you know, and just go like, okay, action, you know. And it was just like, Pennywise.
Did you miss me, Richie? Did you miss me? Oh, I missed you. What game should we play? Operation? Oh, I'd like that one.
And it was weird. He was just instantly there. And I didn't know that was going to be that way, but yeah, he was just, I guess, ever present and just like exploded out of me.
Oh, I know your secret, your dirty little secret, your dirty little secret. Should I tell them, Richie? Should I tell them all?
There's something about like me doing Pennywise, full-on Pennywise without makeup on that's like almost even more disturbing than Pennywise himself, because it's just so weird to see a normal person doing that.
I just wanted to say that, you know, on our first experience, we had a lot of fun doing the movie, and I'm hoping to repeat the experience. So just have that in mind. It's going to be great. And thank you.
How are you? This is your 11th cup of coffee.
This is my 11th cup of coffee, and I'm gonna enjoy every sip of it. And
Hi, guys.
I'm not Mike.
First time in Toronto.
First time in Canada.
First time in Canada. Everybody wanted to come back, basically. And most of them like made it. It proved to be like a great thing. You know, you develop a shorthand with the people you work with again and again. Personal relationship that bring everyone together and generates like a good energy on set and off set. Really making a movie a better experience.
It's me. meeting of the Losers Club has officially begun.
I came to the day expecting that new things will make the scene better. And there you see, Bill Hader doing the Jabba the Hutt impression. It wasn't something that I asked him to do. It just brought it, And that's great because you really see the involvement of an actor when he comes to the set with ideas that make the character grow and the scene grow.
Who cut you after Bowers cut you up? That was me.
Please tell me you became a doctor.
Yeah, he became a patient. Burn. Fuck you. That should be a big whack.
Well,
it's not that good of a joke.
Well, it's because you laugh at your own joke before anybody gets a chance.
No, because
someone else should say burn.
I'm a comedian, and that's what we do. That's how
So
you
be
warm
funny.
the audience up. That's
So be
fucking funny.
Is it?
That guy's laughing.
I haven't seen this man in my life.
Thank you, Sarah.
He just sneaked into the shoot.
Yeah, I'm like one of those guys.
Yeah, he was asking for anti-acid.
Yeah.
How did we get him on set? We asked.
I asked him if he would do a cameo for us, and he said, yeah, why not? But then he said, you have to know that every time I am in a movie, I jinx it. So I said, okay, let's turn that around.
Very good. Now we have to do it.
No. That's enough. That's scary enough right there. I'm not much of an actor, but you have to trust the director and you have to trust who's in the scene with you. And in this case, it was James McAvoy, who was very kind to me and helped me out a little bit. And it is kind of a funny scene, but part of that was James helped to flesh the scene out a little bit, so it made it more fun.
You want me to sign it for you?
Nah, I didn't like the ending.
I was ready for him to be bad at acting, but he was bloody good. In the book, his character is an asshole, and we had a little bit of like a tete-a-tete in the script originally, him and I, but when we got the pages on the day, they'd sort of cut a lot of Stephen's stuff, and I was like, I don't know about this. So I was like, we need to get some of that sort of assholery back in here. So what I felt really proud of was going back to the book and putting words that he wrote into his mouth. That was like, this is weird, this is meta, this is like, Bill Denborough is putting Stephen King's words into Stephen King's mouth.
I am now in my mind writing my Oscar acceptance speech.
That's a picture wrap on the one and only Stephen King.
He could have come for a day to do the scene, but he came for 3 days to do the scene and to hang out with us. Came with Ethan, his grandchild, and we had a blast. It was amazing.
Stepping into day 53, what's happened? Oh man, what hasn't happened, right? That's that's the typical response. Let's see, we have fought Pennywise, we've been to the cisterns, we've been dunked in water, and we've been dunked in blood. We have destroyed a Chinese restaurant. Everything the losers are cracked up to be, we've done it. You name it, we've done it.
Oh no!
So Andy, the first one was the color from last year.
I know which one it's gonna be. It's gonna be the one in the middle. That looks like barf.
Andy loves vomit. He just wants to honor it, so.
Right. There's no way of getting out of the vomit.
No.
Fuck yeah!
It's a lot, man. It's a lot. Yeah, we got through last week, and it was really funny because I remember thinking, oh man, I'm getting older because I felt really tired at the end of the first week.
Dude, that was not gonna stop. That was like fun with him and 6 of his friends.
Honestly, and I truly mean this, I get so impressed with the crew. I am more impressed with the crew than anything else because they've been here for so much longer than we have, and they'll be here for so much longer after I leave. The stamina that it takes to get through these days is insane.
Andy likes to stack units because he likes to be there for the second unit shoot. So a lot of times Andy and I would do like 20-hour days.
Then where are we going now? We're going to second unit. We're not going to principal, right? And why do we go to second, Andy?
Because I'm doing double shifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
Because I
doing double
can't let
shifts?
go. I can't let go. I have to supervise fucking everything.
Andy is like a child, whereas he's a dreamer. His heads are in the clouds. He never gets tired, so he will literally not stop shooting. He'll just go. And Barbara is very good at organizing it and making sure that at the end, you know, we reach something, that we have a goal and we're going to achieve it, and we're staying in the budget, and the sets are going to be built on time. Andy, you know, he needs that to create what he has, and they need each other because they're incredible partners.
The bathroom set with Jessica, the bathroom and the blood, that was particularly challenging, especially for her.
When I first got the script and it had Beverly in that bathroom stall and the stall filling with blood, I was like, oh, that's super cool, because first of all, it's terrifying and visually shocking, but then also I like the symbolism of it, you know, this idea of what does it mean for her to become a woman, especially in her house where she's being abused by her father. I love the idea of Beverly being swallowed up by blood. I then called Andy, we were talking about the scene, and he was explaining it to me, and he said that the blood would stop here. And I said, well, that's not very visually, you know, exciting. I was like, but why doesn't it go all the way up? If it's like a really terrifying scene, it should be like a Carrie moment, right? And she's like, well, I just assumed you wouldn't want to do that. I said, no, if I'm trying to climb out at some point, let's just have me drop in.
When you're working with a very tiny set that has to be flooded with something, there's not a lot of space for the cameras. So you have to be very, you know, strategic with it, but also like seize the moment, because you can't do it like, you know, 17 times.
We really mapped it out as much as we could without the blood. And then we would do these things where I would be holding on, and he's on, and you know, Andy's on the mic, and he'd be like, okay, you could fall.
Blood is rising, and action!
Under the water, I would plug my nose, and I'd hold on to the bottom of the stall, and I just like would count to 5. And then I'd like shoot back up.
I love you! And one more! And cut!
And that blood was so disgusting. Because it was like in your eyeballs, and it gets in your nose and your ears, and you just feel it all over you.
Show me what it would look like with your left arm submerged. That is pretty dramatic. I like it a lot.
Okay. You know, Andy was saying like, you know, oh, it's so great, Jessica, I'm so happy. I said, okay, well, you're gonna find out how happy you are.
One more time! One more time! And cut! Again. Bravo!
She had no problem, but she had to run to me after the scene and soak me in fucking blood.
No.
Can you go around and try to make sure?
At the very end of the shooting day, I just gave Andy and Barbara the biggest bear tackle and the biggest bear hug.
I think her motivation during the scene was not character related. It was like, when I finish the scene, I can go to Andy and soak him up.
You guys look like you were just born. And it's my favorite picture. They blew up this picture and gave it to me, and it's the two of them just covered in this slime. It's so disgusting, but we all look really happy.
So right now we are in Port Hope, the beautiful city of Port Hope. Love you guys, and we're shooting for It #2.
Yeah. We love each other.
Don't touch me, freak.
Oh wait,
Guess we don't. Okay.
Just kidding, we love each other.
We love each other. We have group chats everywhere. We talk to each other all the time. We hang out as much as we possibly can. We're a thing.
We are a thing.
The losers in real life.
It's like, you know, going back to something that you love so much. It's like going back to last summer of school. Everyone had such a great time, and it feels like years ago somehow. Well, it was years ago. It was like 2 years ago.
When they get back together, they regress. It's amazing to watch. They're still kids when they're together, which I love, because I don't want to lose that ever.
Okay, here we go.
It's a part of the job. It feels like no time has passed since the first one. And we're just kind of continuing on with the story and with our personal stories, and everything is just kind of going great.
Well, in the first movie, they were kids. They were 12 and 13, but they were children. They were children, you know, 2 years later. So they're not 13 anymore. They are 15 or 16.
Well, physically, most of them changed, and we've had to do some de-aging for the second film, for the flashbacks. Their voices definitely changed.
Honestly, for an audience that have seen them for the first time, which is to me today, they're the same kids in the movie. Seriously. I hear you.
I remember when I was shooting the first one, I never wanted to leave. I never wanted it to end. And when it was like nearing the end of the original shoot, I was just like anticipating the reshoot so hard. I was like, please get the reshoots really soon. I want them, and I just couldn't get enough of it.
It's just so fun to have that atmosphere again, and everything comes together, and like I just forget where I am, and just being with everyone is so fun.
Our childhood is kind of preserved within this film because every time we come back, it is like it's summer. Even, you know, it's September right now when kids are in school, but when we get here, it really feels like summertime and like we're just having a good time. I just think the energy that we bring to the set and the energy that we bring to each other, we just kind of feed well off each other, and that's what's kind of keeping the fun of it. Like I could do it 5 more times just because of the guys.
Haircut.
I want this to go viral.
We don't think of each other as cast and crew. Like, we are a family. Andy, Barbara, Ben, the whole cast, the whole crew, everybody is just a huge family working on a project that everybody's super excited about.
Sophia's more laid back, so she was kind of like an older sister type personality versus just Jack and Finn are more of the jokesters, so like they're like the younger brothers, and I kind of fall in the middle of there. And then Andy's like the cool uncle. He kind of like, yeah, I like that. Let's do that again. You know, and then Miss Barbara's like the mom of the project.
They never stop seeing each other and their families and their parents. It's all a big family. But yeah, inevitably it changed a little bit, you know? Your behavior changes from 12 to 15, and that you know, sort of happened. And I had to remind them that they were not 15 in the fiction, they were 12. They would just like come and naturally do a scene. I would say, okay, now give me the 12-year-old version of that. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I got it.
Sometimes it's hard to come back to the same character after doing another character previously and doing the exact same character. But it's easier when you resonated with that character so much.
By the end of this day, I want every part of this room cleaned. And I want to find that paddle ball and see if it is still here. I forgot the line and I circled all the way back around.
Circle back, man. That was genius. So good.
There's an analogy there. Yeah, there's a parallel lines between adults going back to be children to access the power of unified belief, and kids who have to come back in time to be 12 again.
I learned a lot from him. It was not only because it was my first experience, but he let us have so much freedom. You don't get that a lot, but Andy was one of those people who let us develop our own characters, almost our own film.
Really hot set stuff going around. People here, people there, acting, shooting, lights, camera, action.
Michael, do you mind if I get Angelo? Yes, do you mind if I get our friend to do the walk? Go.
When we were shooting the first It, you know, Jack and all the kids would be like, you know, your character ends up being gay, right? And I'm like, does he? I had no idea. I didn't even think about it when we were shooting it until after. And when Andy and I talked about it, your character's struggling with his sexuality. And, you know, when the first movie was taking place, it's kind of buried under all of this stuff that's going on in Richie. And so it's a thing that had to be dealt with. I mean, it definitely was a challenging thing to even, like, act through. And I've never gone through, you know, some of the things that some people haven't. So it was really interesting to kind of dive into that and experience it. Yeah.
Gotcha! You filthy little children. I am the eater of worlds.
The whole ending of the movie is a motion captured performance. It's always scary, I think, for an actor when it's all in the hands of VFX, because you don't know how it's going to look or how it's going to translate.
This is a shot where we see Pennywise. He will come down and find you already in position, and I will cue you for the run. And action!
All the actors had to imagine that I was, 10 feet tall or whatever. It's going to be VFX, but it was important for me to be there to do the blocking of these scenes as if I was shooting it live. So I was back by the monitors with the God mic, so I was doing Pennywise performance live.
27 years I dreamt about you. I craved you. I've missed you. Oh, waiting for this very moment.
And God!
We were all burnt out. We were all pretty tired because every day pretty much was screaming, yelling, running. Poor Jessica had to be dunked in blood and then had to have the blood on her for 2 weeks. But, you know, we're actors. We got pretty well.
Do you know that scene in Last of the Mohicans where they have to run the gauntlet, literally run the gauntlet, and like they're whacking the guy and kicking him, and like it's been like that every day.
You will hear me a lot of times saying that's the best shot in the movie.
It was perfect. It was perfect. Let us go again. And you're like, wait a minute. How can you improve on perfection?
That was excellent. That was excellent.
All right, well then let's finish.
Now let's do it again. And action.
That was absolutely perfect. This is the best shot I've ever seen in my life. One more time.
Andy's like a big kid himself. Behind the monitor, he's so animated, and sometimes the sets we're working on are huge. They're like football fields. So he will have to be on a God mic where we can just sort of hear the voice of Andy rain down on us.
A clown! A clown! A clown! A clown! A fucking clown! You're a fucking clown! A fucking clown! You're a fucking clown!
We did a version of Eddie's death where Eddie's dead already, and Richie's talking to him like, hey man, we did it. We defeated Pennywise and everything, and all the other losers are looking at him like, Richie, he's gone.
Dude, he's gone. You gotta let him go.
Shut up! We gotta get him out of here!
Place is coming
We
down!
gotta get him out of here right now! I can't fucking leave him like this, man! What the fuck is wrong with you? What, are you gonna leave him down here? Are you nuts?
It's okay, we got
No! He can't compute that same denial that he's in just about his life. He's in that moment with Eddie. It was pretty powerful. But that's the nice thing about Andy, man. He'll try all those things. But I was so surprised on a movie like this that Andy found the room for us to try things and not just try things in a take, but try things with our characters where we went, oh, let's try that version of the scene, which kind of totally changes things plot-wise.
Pennywise's death was the most intense thing I think I've ever shot. The thing about Andy is that he comes up with these ideas that once you see it and once it's implemented, it's just like, oh, this is genius. Andy just came up with that idea that he wanted the face to melt into the rocks formation.
This is what is known in Stephen King's universe as the ritual of Chud. And the ritual of Chud is when you staple intergalactic entity's head to a piece of volcanic. Just like that. It worked.
I took Bill to the limit. He was buried in a hole. His whole body was inside the structure. So everything that he could move was his face. So I think he did like incredible efforts with his face muscles that resulted in a lot of stress for him.
Look at you. Look at you all.
I think it's the best performance he did in the two movies. He really, really pushed it. And that's what's so great about Bill, is that he's always pushing it to the limit.
And cut. Bravo.
Bravo, Bill.
Good job.
I don't want you playing around. Don't stop playing!
Don't stop playing.
Don't stop playing.
Guys, we're gonna have you all
Do what you want to.
dressed in your swim attire, but then put your comfort clothes over top of that.
I'm
And I'll come knock
yeah.
and put you in the chairs as soon as chairs open up. High five. 2 more days, guys. 2 more days. Oh my god.
You a bitch.
1 more day.
Are you guys working tomorrow? Is this the last day of your
This is the
last
day. Last day.
No more
R.I.P.
bitches.
R.I.P. losers. Forever.
It's a bittersweet moment. We saw these kids grow and become who they are now.
It's the end of a cycle, my friend. It's the end of a period. It's the end of an adventure.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad, I think.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's a picture wrap on Jeremy, Jaden, Sophia, and Jack and Ryan, the Losers Club.
6 of the 7 losers were wrapped in the same scene. You know, their friendship is bigger than anything else. No, but it's great. I'm very proud of this. And it was very beautiful to see them saying goodbye to this movie.
Thank you. That's it.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, losers.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Shouts out to Mikkel.
Just imagine,
Shouts out.
imagine Trozen's here. Much better.
Hey man, sorry. Good morning. Good morning. Last day. This is actually the martini shot.
Yeah.
I just don't want to say it too loud.
Yeah.
In case I change my mind. It was a scene with Pennywise, with Bill. He was closing the lid of a coffin, which is actually the clubhouse. It was very meaningful moment.
And action.
All that success, all those sit-ups, but deep down, still that little fatty loser who always knew he would die alone.
God! Who's doing there? Hold on. See from the top, please, Anthony. From the very top.
Oh, that's awesome. It looks like the head is like twisting.
And okay, and check it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a picture wrap on Bill Skarsgård. Let's give him a hand. And that's a picture wrap on It Chapter 2. Andy Muschietti.
Thank you very much for being part of this incredible family. I really mean it. I love you so much, each one of you, and I really learned a lot about, you know, your work by being here, and it's been like an amazing experience. So thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. We made another one.
What?
We did another one.
We did another one, just like that. It wasn't that tough. It wasn't that hard, to be honest. I was ready. After 86 days of shooting, you are ready to stop. 86, my friends. 86. 86 days of shoot. It was a effing marathon. But it was all worth it, man. Every day.
Here we go, ready?
Last known photo of the It cast and crew.
I had a perception that it was going to be successful, but of course, like what happened broke every expectation. It was really an incredible adventure for me. The 2 movies, all in all, it's like probably 5 years of my life that I dedicated to this story, and I feel very, very happy and very humbled of having been a part of it.
Part of everything. You have to say goodbye, and that's the journey. At the same time, especially when you hear really young people talk about the losers and how they found people on screen that they could relate to. That's why you make these things.
I'm glad that I had the opportunity to meet all these people, incredible actors and incredible crews, professional, but also like all the human qualities that I met and all the human experiences I had is probably the best of the whole journey. Then, of course, having completed what it is like a dream come true, which is like adapting a book you loved for so many years, an author that you loved and that inspired you so much and that taught you how to tell a story. All in all, it's a dream come true.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a picture wrap on Bill Skarsgård. Let's give him a hand.
I remember when we wrapped the first movie, the last day of the shoot, feeling like we did something special here. Cheers, guys. Cheers. But you don't dare to trust that feeling because you're like, oh, what if you're wrong? What if this is a disaster? And what if your performance is a disaster? But then it shattered every expectation I think anyone had on it.
Obviously, it's a big deal to see that your vision succeeded. it also gives you a lot of confidence for the bets that you're making on the second one, because you know what works and what doesn't.
Andy and I were talking about potential ideas for the sequel even when we were doing the first one, because we knew that we were going to do the second one.
And action. Yeah, that's beautiful. With chapter 2. I always wanted to make a scarier movie and crank up the horror aspects of it.
It was strange because I'd been away from Pennywise for almost 2 years. And then Andy wanted me to do a test for a VFX motion capture thing. Been away from the character for so long. It's gonna be strange just like to go right back into it. And I got the scene like the night before, and Andy's on Skype because he's already in Toronto for pre-production. He goes, okay, action,
And action!
Pennywise is just ever present and just like exploded out of me. I was surprised how much of him was just still there, because the first movie was so much for me was to figure out who the character was.
With Bill, he put so much of him into the creation. The nuances in his face, the spark in his eyes. I really love sitting down with him and talking for hours about the character and the possibilities.
27 years I dreamt of you. I craved you. Oh, I missed you. Waiting for this very moment. Time to flow.
In my preparation for the role the first time, I applied all these sort of crazy psychology to the character. There's a lot of scenes with Pennywise where it's just a physicality or a very technical thing.
It's a tremendously physical performance. He works really hard. It's just amazing. It's balletic. It's so good.
The scenes that I tend to really prefer are the ones where you could, be a little bit more, subtle's the wrong word for this character, I think, but where you can be a little bit more nuanced, maybe. There's definitely more of those scenes in this one than there were in the first one.
A little closer. 1, 2.
You okay?
Good job.
The Pennywise that we meet in the second movie is different from the book. He's very defensive in the book. He's offensive when they're kids, and when they come back, he's sort of trying to scare them off. So that shows weakness instantly, because he obviously doesn't want them to be there, because they do pose a threat to him because they almost defeated him the first time.
Grab hands.
And that works in the book, but because of the way we're telling the story now in the 2 separate films, this Pennywise, he really wants them back. He's missed them.
Thank you for bringing them all back. I can smell their fear.
I know what you are. That's why I'm not afraid.
Obviously, that would make for a pretty boring movie if all they do is, oh, this is what we did the first time and did this exact same thing. So for me, it was really important that Pennywise needs to be this sort of arch villain.
Oh, I know what you are. A madman.
He needs to be scary and he needs to be threatening. So that was one of the challenges that we had to address.
I used Pennywise as a door opener for all the other things that these kids are scared of. And Andy made the right decision to actually broaden the scope, and the kids see transformations of Pennywise that are his own artistic creations, but they still relate to the various fears and phobias of the kids.
This is Vince Prose. Vince is helping me to bring my nightmares to life. And he's throwing a lot of his nightmares in, and it's quite scary.
We have a version of Pennywise where they're weakening him and he starts to deflate. So Andy wanted him to be almost like a deflating balloon.
You're all grown up.
Andy comes up with these ideas that once you see it and once it's implemented, it's just like, oh, this is crazy, this is genius.
I like the fact that I'm trying to convince myself that I'm the hero.
Yeah, let's do that, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you're also broken. You're broken.
Yeah.
Like a cockroach on raid.
Clown! 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 Clown!
The idea was to get a small child to play the body part of Bill.
Clown! Clown! Clown!
And then we had a replica of the kid's body. And that was known as Pancake Head.
This is what is known in Stephen King's universe as the ritual of Chud. And the ritual of Chud is when you staple intergalactic entity's head to a piece of volcanic... Just like that. It worked.
Finally, he becomes the spider.
It's the end of the battle. In the first one, we had like Pennywise as me. We needed to up that, you know? Like, they're adults. The physicality needs to be more threatening. So Andy came up with this creature that he essentially drew, which is my face, gigantic Pennywise face on this sort of spider-esque kind of body. Andy's so good with designing creatures.
I got the Pennywise spider. You want to see him?
Yeah. I really love this frame. Vince's contributions to the monster are really cool. You can see how he integrated the costume into the anatomy of the spider. But I also like the spirit of this drawing because it's grotesque and it's horrifying at the same time.
Now you're the one who's afraid.
At the end of the first movie, Pennywise for the first time feels fear himself. And that's why his last line in the movie is fear. It's him realizing what that feeling is.
Fear.
So he uses fear to sort of season the flesh, if you will. And he instills fear in children and in humans, but he never actually understood what that was because he's never felt it before himself. And I think that that is scary for him, but it's also a thrill. So it's a craving. He craves the losers that are now adults. Because if this creature and this entity has lived for millions and millions of years, it's a high to have an opponent that's matched him. I feel like the way this movie ends, at least from my perspective and the character, he plants things and there's reasons for why things are happening. And when the kids that are now adults, when they think they're in control, they're actually not in control. And this is really scary. If you talk about Pennywise's own subconscious or its own subconscious, maybe wants to die or it wants to cease to exist. So at the very end of this movie, maybe that was his goal all along. And in that sense, Pennywise wins.
I'm Jeremy Ray Taylor, and I play the part of Ben Hanscom, and this is it.
Hi, my name's Chosen Jacobs. I play the role of Mike Hanlon.
Interview with Jack Dylan Grazer, playing Eddie Kazbrak, and live in 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Even as we were casting the kids, we were thinking of who to cast as the adults. They had to be great actors, of course, and they really had to look like the kids.
I really put a lot of thought into this because we actually discussed this.
It's really exciting for me, too, thinking about it. I'm expecting a lot. I have a feeling that Bill Hader is playing Richie, and then we want Jessica Chastain to play Beverly, and we haven't figured out Jeremy yet, but we will. Trust me, we will.
The resemblance between the adults and the kids is striking.
So give me like 3-4 beats and then send it. For me, it's a search for someone with the sensibility and the DNA, and yes, and the physical appearance of the actors that played those characters in the first movie.
When we were shooting It One, we used to talk about who would play our older selves, and it was more of like a joke, but it was just so convenient that Jessica already worked with Andy before. They were close, and she has red hair. It's pretty much all you really need.
Come on.
1, 2, 3. No, come on, Barbara! Barbara!
I'm very good friends with Andy and Barbara, and from the beginning, Andy was sending me pictures of Soph and me together, and he goes like, "What do you think?"
Yeah. Light the camera.
Want to ride?
Chosen's awesome. He was so sweet to me. He announced that I was Mike Hanlon on his Instagram, so that was super cool.
I'm not on social media or anything, and so a couple friends texted me. I was like, "Hey, do you know Finn, the kid from Stranger Things and It? He just said he wants you to play Richie in the next movie." And I was like, "Well, that's cool." And then my agent called me and said, "Hey, there's a young actor named Finn. He was in Stranger Things and he's in the It movie. Well, apparently he recommended you to be in the sequel to play an older version of him." So I had this meeting with Andy, and I sit down with him, and he's like, "You know why you're here? You're here because Finn. Okay, there's an actor named Finn. He's in Stranger Things." And I know, yes. So Finn said that you should be Richie, and so I'm gonna have you be Richie. And I was like, "Whoa, this worked?"
Yeah, thanks, man. That was awesome.
From the beginning, I was always Bill Hader. I was just like a super fan. But yeah, it's a very unconventional way of hiring someone. Of saying a 14-year-old told me to hire you. The casting could not have been any better.
Yeah, we look startlingly similar. Even my brother, he saw this in the theater and he was like, "That kid looks like PJ." He was weirded out by it. Way before I knew I was gonna do this.
You would never think about meeting your older self. So it's super surreal to even think about that. And let's just say I would not mind looking like Jay Ryan whenever I'm 40.
I think Andy's got a real great intuition for casting. How long have you been doing the casting process for? It's a big cast.
It's, I would say like 4 months or something.
Nice.
I got pretty lucky
Yeah.
with the cast.
Yeah, I think you guys did an amazing job, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
Every single kid from chapter 1 wrote a letter as their character to our older selves.
It's really just a touching thing to read and that I can look at and go, this is from me 27 years ago, and I remember being this boy.
Well, I don't want to tell you what was in the letter because it's a bunch of secrets for Bev.
Basically, I told Bill about all of the things that I hate about Derry and why I wouldn't go back. But then I talked about all the things that I loved about it and why it's worth fighting for.
It was awesome. I keep it in my trailer. I keep his picture right there. Every time I come into work, I get to see that, so I can kind of like go, all right, let me get into this.
For some reason, they included a picture of ourselves to give to them. And PJ's like, "Okay, this is weird. What do you want me to do? This? Like, put this on my nightstand?" I was like, "Yeah, put it on your nightstand. And when you wake up in the morning, look at that, and that's what you aspire to be." And it's a picture of me going like, something stupid.
When we get together, it really is like a hangout session on set. So I'm excited to show how we'll blend together the young losers and their older counterparts.
It was like our first day of school, you know, showing up on set, meeting all the losers. And I felt like I was 12 years old again.
And just like that, it's like not a day has passed. Can we just talk about the elephant not in the room? Good fucking Lord, Ben.
I think we all felt a sense of responsibility to really nail that dynamic that the kids had.
One of the reasons that I loved the first film so much was Jaden's performance. And so to try and be the next custodian of Bill Denborough, but then to actually have a scene together, that was awesome, awesome, awesome.
Just because you didn't want to play on a rainy day one time doesn't make it your fault. Okay, keep rolling. Probably won't get much better than that. You should call it a night.
I read the book when I was in middle school, and I remember seeing the miniseries with my family. And so my thing was more watching you in the first movie and try to put a new thing on that.
I couldn't play Mike the way I play him if I didn't have Chosen's foundation, because that's where I got my character from.
See, there's more to our story. What happened that summer?
Isaiah is really bringing it to another level. He's really taken the time to even study, how I portrayed the character and add his own spins to it. So to actually look at like my interpretation, it makes me really happy, and I couldn't have chosen anyone better for the role.
To have such big, amazing actors want to do justice to you, that's like really scary to think about. But I think it's super cool.
When I watched the first movie, it was like his sweetness and his innocence that was really authentic and beautiful. And he's a real sweet guy. He comes from a sweet family, so I just pretend that I'm a sweet guy too.
I mean, everyone just works so well. Like, even in real life, Isaiah acts like Chosen. PJ acts like Jack. Everything just clicks. It's like the first summer all over again, except we're like the old ones and they're the new ones. I just follow it everywhere. It's just so fun to have that atmosphere again.
I love my life, man.
I consider us all like tight now because we went through these 2 months of just grueling 12 to 14-hour days. Everybody stayed together and we all helped each other out.
From light to dark. So light to dark, man. I'll look back on this fondly. We've really bonded as individuals.
Losers don't rat each other out. We had a very long conversation about this. Bill specifically said losers never rat each other out.
This movie felt like summer camp. It didn't feel like work at all. I just felt like I was just having fun with my friends and on the side, beating up clowns.
It's the end of a cycle, my friend. It's the end of a period. It's the end of an adventure.
It's bittersweet. It was a long and amazing journey. I made amazing friends. I learned a lot. It was a beautiful experience.
I got a turtle. I got a turtle. Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
It's 4 years with these characters. Yeah, the characters are inside of us, so it's hard to see them go.
Everyone had such a great time. It really was a family and like some sort of dream come true.
Those kids are so wonderful in the first film, and all of us together, the Losers Club, it was so exciting and so powerful.
That's what the movie is all about. When you get together with your friends, there's nothing you can't accomplish.
We're losers. And we always will be.
When I was working on the novel, I was living in Bangor, which was the basis for Derry. I walked up the street one day, and there was this little kid sitting in the dust at the side of the road, drawing and talking to herself about imaginary people and what they were doing. And I was thinking, if an adult was sitting in the dirt like that and talking to himself, they'd take them away to the nearest mental institution. But we understand that kids have a wider perspective, their imaginations are unfettered, and as we grow older, it becomes tougher and tougher to hold on to that. So what I really wanted to do with it was to bring the losers back as adults, to recapture the imaginative capacity that they had as children. The thing about fear is this: the more imagination you have, the more fearful you are. As kids, we don't really understand how the world works. So when you look in a sewer, you really could believe there are evil beings down there. There are a lot of adults in this movie who have a very thin layer of rationality. Bill Denbrough says, what I'm scared of is not making the mortgage payments, but that's not what he's really scared of because he remembers his childhood. Even to this day, when I go to bed, I'm careful to keep the covers over my feet so that nothing can grab my foot. Now, if there was somebody underneath my bed, it wouldn't matter if the covers were over it or not. But I still retain some of that childhood belief that covers themselves are magic and that the monsters can't get through those. A lot of the things in it are drawn from my own childhood, particularly the years that I spent as a kid in Stratford, Connecticut. When I was, say, 10 or 11, there was a high school boy whose name was Bill something or other, and he was a wonderful kid, but he had this awful, awful stutter. And he had a bike, and the name of the bike was Silver. And he would give little kids rides if they wanted them on the package carrier on the back of his bike. And the only thing that he could say without stuttering as he went down the hill, and he went fast, he would say, "Hi-ho, Silver, away! Hi-ho, Silver, away!"
I haven't seen this man in my life. He just sneaked into the shoot.
Yeah, I'm like one of those guys.
How did we get him on set? We asked.
He was asking for anti-acid.
Yeah.
We gave him some, but he knew he wouldn't go.
And he said to Andy, "I'm happy to do it, but I want you to know that I'm a jinx. And every time I'm in a movie, it doesn't do well." And Andy said, "I think we'll be fine this time around. I think we're gonna change your luck."
He just wouldn't go. Stephen is very respectful of adaptations. We showed him chapter 1, and he reacted very positively.
You guys are the best.
But I didn't want to let the chance go by of doing the second chapter without having his thoughts.
I have total trust in Andy. I'm not much of an actor, but you have to trust the director and you have to trust who's in the scene with you. And in this case, it was James McAvoy, who was very kind to me and helped me out a little bit. James made it more fun. Carry your water around, don't you?
Oh, yeah,
big time writer. Big time. Big time writer. Yeah, big time.
He brought that real Mainer kind of flavour to it, which isn't really there in the rest of the cast.
And action! Help you?
Yeah, I wanted to see about the
Bowling ball, baseball cards,
no,
bird cage,
no,
bird, board game, bulldozer,
no, not the bulldozer, the
beaver,
but the fucking bike.
Well, if you're gonna use that kind of language, you can take it out on the street.
It was cool. It was really cool, and just an honour for me because I am a massive fan.
So we're gonna get that done with James.
So getting to meet him and work with him and have a nice conversation with him was awesome.
There we go.
Terrific thing.
When I finally met him, it was an amazing thing. I would have never think that I would meet him when I was like 14 or 15, but he was always my hero.
Action.
You want me to sign it for you?
Nah, I didn't like the ending.
Say picture wrap on the one and only Stephen King.
I am now in my mind writing my Oscar acceptance speech. There's plenty of evil to be scared of. And I think one of the things that's so comforting about fantastical movie and movie monsters is it allows us to take our fears, our very real fears for a while, and put them in this other basket and say, for 2 hours or 3 hours in the dark, I'm going to be a kid again.